Life can take you in circles before you find that which speaks to your heart and settles within your soul. After all, many have said that it is a journey. Take, for instance, Rose Twine, whose former job confined her in a hospital, a professional nurse who worked at the Whitechapel Hospital, Homerton Hospital in East London and St. Bart's University Hospital in Central London. Little did she know then that within her deep integral mind, an innovation that was to have a fundamental bearing on Uganda's cooking industry would years later capture not only her greatest passions, but also be the vision for a cause she now advocates for: people and power.
This time on People and Power, we are following the story of a woman who is the founder and innovator of the Eco Stove, which uses solar and reusable volcanic rocks. It is classified as a unique technology in mitigating climate change. Now, the Eco Group Limited has been awarded grants by the United Nations Clean Development Fund and the Global Alliance for Clean Cook Stove to develop this particular technology. Rose Twine is an entrepreneur and also the innovator behind the Eco Stove. Where I'm standing right now is just one of the offices of the Eco Stove and the Eco Group Limited. So you're welcome as we are about to meet her. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Rose
Twine.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming.
The green.
Yes.
Really pulls you in.
Yes.
Environment.
Yes.
Good colors, I might say.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is that?
This is Eco Stove, and that is these are stoves that we manufacture in different sizes. We actually do about 5 different sizes and different types and different features. Like, for example, a stove comes with different, it lights, it cooks, it charges phones. Another one just cooks and stuff like that. But these are the samples of what we do in portable.
They're the same as what I saw outside, right?
Yes, but part of that. But we can also customize. So that is what we wanted to display. This for everyday person. Yes.
Okay, so I understand you're taking us to the factory too,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So what usually happens here? Like you told me, oh, let's meet at the office. So do people come and do bookings here, or they make orders? What exactly happens?
We do both. People can call and book online or book on phone, but also they walk in. This is a walk-in outlet, and they come in and buy and have a demo. We show them how it works, because it's not easy to explain to someone. This is a stove that uses volcanic rock. Somebody's like, how? So the how question is what we answer here, and we show them actually how it works. And hopefully, if you have the time, we'll be able to show you the how question also. Because what boggles people's mind is that, how do I use a rock to cook? I'm used to charcoal, I'm used to gas. Why is it that you're using rock? So now we'll be able to show them. So we see the demonstration here, yes, or at the factory? No, you can see it here as well.
We can see it here.
But also at the factory you can see. So if you have a few minutes, we can show it
to you here.
We can show,
yeah, and then after we'll sit down and chat.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
no problem.
Yeah, so this is a sales office.
Okay.
And that's why it's all made.
I read that you get them from Congo?
No. Uganda.
Okay.
They come from Kisoro, they come from Kanungu, Kabale. We have them enough for another 200 years, I'm sure.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am. And
no,
in Congo,
DRC, the beauty, run out?
No. The beauty about DRC is that we still have active mountains. So in case in 100 years we're out, we can go to Congo.
Yeah, in 100 years.
Yeah, so with this one, we have, we did this because somebody may place a big saucepan, but they don't want to remove it. They have covered their kusanikira, their ndagala and everything.
Yeah.
So we make it easier. They can put their stones there and simply push it back.
From Rukunjiri district, Rose Twine was born on October 1st, 1974 to the late Kagubari Boniface and her mother Eugenia Kagubari. She partly grew up in Rukunjiri and Mulago, a Kampala suburb. She had her primary education at Nyakanyinya Boarding Primary School in Rukunjiri and thereafter joined Uganda Matters Namugongo for her O-level and Progressive SS Bweyogerere for her A-level. It was at City University in London where she studied her first degree in nursing and midwifery in 2000 to 2003, upgraded with another degree in health adult education in 2005 to 2008, and taught at the Cornell College of North London, Deacon's Business School and ACA Institute of Nursing. It was after she acquired a degree in environmental studies and worked at the London Borough of Haringey in environment assessment that the wheel of destiny guided her into the eco stove innovation. Twine previously owned a quick waste disposal company in 2003 to 2008 in London, which she sold to Goodwill. And upon her return to Uganda in 2009, the eco stove legacy began.
You're still watching People and Power, and of course we're still with the innovator herself, Rose Twine, the woman behind the famous eco stove, which uses solar and reusable volcanic stones. Of course, we'll be finding out the story behind, you know, the
Yes.
whole initiative. But of course, you're going to take us around, right?
Yeah, I'll take you around. This is our facility, and this is where we make the eco stoves.
Yeah.
This is where it's all made and taken to our distribution, you know, offices.
Yeah.
We sit on about 3.5 acres, and of course, this is mainly where it all happens.
Okay.
Of course, we're into conservation of environment, and we hopefully in the next couple of years we should have made this whole place a facility that works.
Okay.
Over there you can see this is when we bring our rocks from Kisoro, we actually put them there, and this is where we get them when we're taking them to our outlets. So like
briquettes.
now the trucks are on their way. No, the volcanic rocks.
Oh, the volcanic
So we
rock.
can come close and you could just start with this.
Okay.
So we have a land about 9 acres in Kisoro,
Yeah.
and this is where we crack, the women crack and compile. So from time to time we bring trucks and put them here. So this is where we get them and put them in different, you know, homes, package them for distribution.
Okay.
So from time to time we bring, offload, distribute, go to Kisoro, bring back, you know, this is how we do it.
Okay.
But of course, it takes much more than one truck to be able to serve. So they are cracked in grades, and you can see this is in its raw form. So we get them and add value by packaging them. So every stone here is, if I can say, whatever is here is enough to cover probably close to 10 acres of trees worth,
Wow.
whatever is here. And this is like a forward worth.
Wow.
Yeah, so because they are reusable.
Okay.
So we bring them here, and then from here, then we take them for packing and distributing. For each stove that goes has to go with this stone. So this is our mini base where we collect them from.
Okay.
And of course, part of the environment conservation, we harvest our own water.
Yeah.
We have 60,000 underground water tank where we harvest water for use, for these guys to be using. And of course, from when we started, this whole village doesn't have water.
Yeah.
So we pumped our own water, which we used to build this factory. So it's solar pumped. And yeah, so everything here has been done as we come into this village. We've been here since 2015 doing this.
You know, like, I like the fact that you keep saying we.
Yeah.
Because whoever is watching might think, oh, okay, yes, I kept saying the woman.
Yeah.
And of course, when someone is reading about you, they keep seeing the queen of the eco stove. You get what I mean?
Woman. We work with a lot of people. We work with, you're going to see some of the people that we work with.
Okay.
But these are the men that make it happen.
Yeah.
But on top of that, we have partners that we work with.
Yeah.
And we have a company I'm only a hands-on person. And I love to be hands-on.
Yeah.
So these are some of the products that we make.
Some of which we saw the other
Yes,
side.
yes. And this is the beauty, the reason I always give this.
Yeah.
This is how we started. This
From
is 2009.
Oh, you started with this one?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is how we've been developing to where we are today.
So this was 2009,
And 9.
and then
2009, still 2009, because we wanted to make it more stable. It didn't look stable right there. So here we're trying to make it stable. We didn't look beautiful because cosmetic also works. So we moved to that to increase the volume, and so we've been going. Then after that, that's when we wanted to do a double. So it's no longer one burner.
Yeah.
So we did a double, and that was our very first double stove. So these are I can call it an area of guinea pigs. Our trials only are here. So 2019
Is
there.
this one?
Yeah, 9 to 19. So this is a 10-year. I call this Generation X.
This one. Because
Same.
where
This
does
was
this
our
one
very
fall?
first oven
No, the very first oven.
in 2013. I think 2013 is when we made this oven.
Yeah.
So I did not, you see, we still had the water valve, and that's what we're using to regulate the air. The concept was the same,
Yeah.
but now we've gone ahead and beautified it and used the dimmers and removed all that rudimentary or finishing to try and make it a bit more.
I don't even want to start imagining what you will be doing or what they'll look like by 2030.
That's it. Yeah, so there is normally what they want to show you whenever we're doing so. This
like
is when
when
it's
it's on the
lit.
other side?
Exactly. So just, you can come here and fail to see
Yeah.
how it's all done. So when they make it there, they bring it here, and then you have a stove that is lit and is doing. There you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you're able to regulate and cook and have the burner like that.
Okay.
And this is how we want to promote it's a conservation, because you have the rocks there. At least you can use this small, less big chunk of dust and then you're good to go. Okay, so I can take you here. So that's a rudimentary of them trying to show you. We also have something that you can use.
I know.
So here we have the contract with the UN, where we are producing UN.
Yeah.
That we are producing for refugees. So these are actually being produced by refugees. So here we do like, hey, how are you? Please take us through your one sheet. Bend the stove. Let's look how you bend it. Go ahead with that one. Go, use that. It's okay. Do that one. Yeah. Bend that top or that bottom. Yeah. Now, even when they have gloves, African eyes are in their hands. He feels he's not holding it properly, so he press the gloves down and use his hand to make sure he gets it there.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, see, what he's trying to do is this.
Is to do this.
Yes, and that's what he's going to do. So he does it and carves it into different shapes. So we don't have to go to China to get this. Now we can do it here. Okay. So this becomes a bottom of a stove or a top of a stove, depending on what size you're doing, whether it's a single or it's a double. So he does that and gets marked, and then he makes it whether it's this or that, so it comes all in.
I'm following.
Yeah.
This is interesting. So how long, like how many of these stoves do they make in a day?
About 800.
About 800.
Yeah.
So that means you have a big market out there.
I do, but we are 9 million households that need this product, so when will I even? So he has done now.
Oh, so finally this
Where
is
you
done.
watched,
Yeah.
that's what he meant for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So
Well
this will be
done.
the bottom
How
of
many
the
of
stove.
these do you make in a day? 500 in a day.
By himself. Then we have a night and a day shift.
Oh, so
That's a
you work on the day shift. So the night shift person
do.
will also come.
Yeah. So this is like final Jebali.
Yeah.
So then you will have, once it's done, so now the spraying will
Oh,
commence.
now this one's
Now
a
because of the
spraying.
fumes, I can't do this inside.
Hey,
Because
yeah.
I don't want my, even if they have masks, that's not enough, and I have space, so I kind of put it out so that
Exactly.
at least they can spray. But I'm moving from this kind of wet paint what we've done is we imported powder paints, powder coats. It doesn't need the sun, so it doesn't, you do it dry. And this is why we built this, so that we can powder coat and immediately, so it becomes like a car kind of paint. That's the next step, maybe in the next quarter we should be to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So now these guys spray. After all this have done their sanding and it's smooth enough and acceptable, then the steam will spray.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it's done.
Though I'm just imagining probably going forward, shouldn't they all be wearing certain, I don't know,
There's
masks
one
or
here.
something? Yeah.
On here, they would, when they are doing, here they don't have much of what is coming, it's just that moving. It's this department that is more of a concern. Those ones welding, like those ones who have anything that is flying. This one, Sometimes they have and they put them on the side because it's not, but we try to enforce it.
Yeah.
PPEs.
Yes,
The best they know how to do is probably cover up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So once this color is done, then they do the green.
They
so
do
it's
the-
also a process. Technology is always improving.
Yeah.
So if somebody goes with this way it is and then runs and does not come back to, to the base to pick up where, because we have partners who are always like improving our product. So whoever goes, don't stick there and stay with what you know. Come and we add on more.
Do some of them come from within the community of
Everybody
Bujuko?
here comes from this community.
Everyone comes from this community.
Yeah, I think we have more, like about 8 that didn't come from Swangere and Bujuko. Only 8 out of 53.
Okay.
The rest are from around here.
Okay.
And this is an agreement I also had when we were buying land. We are like, what are we going to do here? We're like, look, not only are we going to develop the area, but we're going to employ your young ones. So, and we have done that. If chairman was here, I would be the one giving speeches because at least we've employed close to 30 of their youth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You're still watching People and Power. We started Rose Twine's journey from Wakaliga, where the offices of Eco Stove are, or you can say Eco Group Limited. And then, of course, we traveled all the way to where the factory is right here in Bujuko. And we've had an interesting tour. We've looked at the different banners of the Eco Stove from where she started to where she is today, 2019. Now that is where her power lies. Her name is cemented upon a livelihood changer, or someone who wants to change the cooking industry in Uganda. Well, I'm sure it's going to be an interesting conversation because it has been from the beginning. My name is Mebo Twegumiezake.
Hi.
So thank you for bringing us here.
Thank you for coming.
Well, starting with our Eco Stove, which we've already seen, what inspiration lies behind it, or actually lay behind it if we're speaking in retrospect?
Well, as a young girl, growing in Uganda, looking for firewood and trying to cook a meal for my siblings, and there's no firewood. It's either wait or you have to trek miles to look for it. And then you have to bring firewood and the food takes forever to cook. Growing up, it was a challenge. And when I got exposed and traveled and studied, I landed on an innovation that I could bring home. And this is why I wanted to change something that I had grown up seeing, I had grown up experiencing firsthand, cooking meals that took forever in a smoke-filled kitchen. And probably I can remember sometimes you would use dry banana leaves to cook because you couldn't find firewood, and we're talking in the 80s. And it's still the same thing today. How long does a tree take to grow? So I wanted to change the dependence on firewood. I wanted to change that to what alternative can be there, because not everybody can afford electricity and power to cook. But such an innovation as Eco Stove would be able to do just that.
Where did you
using
grow
volcanic
up?
rocks. I grew up in Lukunjili.
Okay.
And this is where I was cooking. That's where I was fetching firewood.
Really?
And
Like
fetching
you
water.
used to go to the forest to do that?
Walk miles. There were no forests. The forests had been depleted, so you'd literally go in the gardens, and so somebody cuts a tree to be able to plant, and then that tree becomes firewood later. So it's something that this is something that really and truly is something that was close to my heart more than anything. That when I got the exposure, when I studied environmental protection as much, but this is something that was more embedded in my heart, that I wanted to do something that was trying to change what I had grown up seeing. And I didn't see any future. I mean, a tree takes so many years to grow. For you to be able to cut it down and use firewood, then in the meantime, what?
Okay.
Yeah, so this is something that was really close to my heart to try and change.
Yes, but then you said you traveled, and then you
Yes.
came across an innovation that you thought you would actually bring back to your country. So was this an accidental discovery, and where exactly did you actually come across it?
No, actually, it's not a concept of cooking. It was a fireplace concept in winter.
Seriously?
Yeah. So it's when, you know, like in winter, I've been in London 20 years. So it's something where you still have the homes which have the fireplace concept. You still have radiators, because the modern days we have radiators in the house, but you leave it there because this is something that the house has been built with that foundation in it. So it's something that if I looked at it with, of course, with friends that we went to school together. You come home and around winter time, which is around November, December, you sit and also do the ritual of sitting around the fireplace. So looking at that, if we can warm up a 3-bedroom house from that little place, what more can it do with such, you know, the science around that? So through that, I wanted to say, can I try and take it and use not coal, not firewood? Can I go and find another alternative to doing this? So 2008, we started traveling back home, trying to find an alternative to what they were doing at the time. So we used different experiments until we landed on volcanic rock. And remember the history of a volcanic rock, it's erupted. It has just cooled. So we are literally reheating it again. So that is how the Eco Stove was born. And that's why you see the little stove, which is like an alien with 3 legs. That was the reason behind that. We wanted to first see, can it function? When the functionality was super, then we started on the cosmetic right after that.
Okay, so let's break it down. You keep saying there's a point where you started with I, and then all of a sudden then we did, yes, exactly. We started experimenting, because one would wonder, how does the idea come to light? Yes, we already had the old traditional charcoal stove, which already exists, and we know the makeup of it. But then now we've seen the Eco Stove, you know, having solar, and then we're seeing you mentioned the briquettes, and then the volcanic stones. When does that come to light? Who are you with as you're actually experimenting and doing this and doing that?
Over the years, I've worked with different people, engineers, renewable energy engineers, the environmental people. I have engineers who worked with British Gas. I have a lot of people that we have worked with in the UK, and who dreamt with me. Some of which in the initial stages actually traveled to Uganda when we were experimenting, trying to find what is this that can work. So even now we still have partners, because it started from London, and I still work with a group of people who, our R&D department basically, both in Germany and the US and France. Actually, some of them are supposed to be here by end of this month, because it looks like now it's going to move into March. But these are people that come on board through wanting to add value to what I'm already doing. Yeah, so it became people dreaming with you, as introduced and tapped into other resources and other expertise, and people who were better than I, but who had the expertise that I needed. So I brought them on board.
Okay.
Yes.
So there are actually other probably stoves that exist on the market. How unique is this particular innovation if you're actually to compare with them? What does it or have that all the others don't?
It uses volcanic rocks. I think until today you had not heard of a stove that uses volcanic rocks on the continent or even in the world. Reason being, this was the very first innovation. And even when we started, we were not sure it was going to work, because previously the concept of fireplace was using coal, was using everything else but the rocks, because they don't exist there. So what makes this stove unique is that it uses rocks, but to make the rocks burn the way you've seen it work is you're using added oxygen, and that is the technology. How do I introduce the added oxygen into the stove to make it blaze the way it's blazing? And this is the whole innovation behind the Eco Stove that makes it very unique, which provides the efficiency, maximum efficiency. It's very clean, the way you saw it gives you, it's burning very clean fire. And at the same time using reusable rocks. These are volcanic rocks which you use over and over and over. Not any other fuel stove can do that.
Why is it so important for probably a country like Uganda to maybe have this innovation?
Look at our environment. We've depleted the whole the natural resources are fast disappearing. I mean, the trees, other than the national reserved areas like the forestry. I've been places where you pass and somebody sees a tree that is bigger than myself and just has to cut it down because they're looking at a bag of charcoal. And so you're looking at a solution that can replace this. But of course, Uganda as a country, it was a part of Africa.
Yeah.
Was is the key word I'm using. But now you're hearing people dying of hunger and famine and mudslides. And this is the reason why that is, because the land has been laid bare. And so there is mudslides because there's nothing to stop these rains from running down. The sun, we used to have like good weather, the rains and the sun, but now you're having constant sun because the climate has changed. It's no longer what it used to be because we've depleted the trees. And the trees, of course, if I take you into the science of the trees and what it's able to do, it absorbs all our carbon dioxide and it gives us oxygen, but also attracts the rains. And so once we cut them, then definitely we are destroying the environment. And this is why we thought this would be an alternative, because Uganda needs it, because we depend on agriculture. Even if a woman doesn't have a 9 to 5, she has food on her table because she can cultivate. But now if her land has gone barren because the environment or the climate has changed, then it affects the entire family. Yeah, so that's why Eco Stove is timely and it's needed.
Let's talk about the Eco Stove serving its purpose versus serving the population, Uganda's population.
Eco Stove serves its purpose because when you look at what it's delivering more than just cooking. A stove that cooks, lights someone's home, charges their phones, plays their radio. I'm talking the rural lady. A woman where the grid power has not arrived, where she can only depend on a kerosene lamp with its indoor air pollution, like she breathes in all that, and the kids who are reading. So we got a product that can incorporate everything it needs to provide the energy solution to this household. That's it serving its purpose. It's not just barely for cooking with the reusable rocks, but what more can this energy provide? The initial purpose of the solar was to cook, but now we realize there's much more it can provide because it has excess energy that is produced, thus charging the phones and lighting somebody's home, clean energy all through. Then now when it comes to Uganda, if the country as Uganda adapted, at the moment we are in maybe 29,000 households that we have served since we started.
Yeah.
So if we were to probably give 7 million households these stoves, that would impact very positively on our country at large. Because let me tell you, even if somebody doesn't use that charcoal stove today, the climate change affects you and I the same way, whether you use a charcoal stove or you don't.
Yeah.
So the sooner we look at this impact, the negative impact that the deforestation is doing to the environment and to us as human beings, the more we should be able to look very deeply into the solutions such as Eco Stove. Yes.
Has government supported you in any way?
No. I would bluntly say no, it hasn't.
Oh God, isn't it sad? Okay, tell us.
I'll tell you what, I don't know who they support, because certainly they have not supported Eco Group as a probably through registration, and you register a company and that's the support we've got. We would love to, yet one of the things that I've lobbied is that, for example, we employ more than 73 young people.
Yeah.
Here, our office, and in the field, because the company we have 5 departments. We have the masons that build for institutions. That's a different department. Right now they're in the field, you didn't see them. We have the fabricators at the factory. We have the electrical department who are into field installing where solar stoves are. Then you have the sales team. Then you have all these guys we're employing. We're looking at Ministry of Gender who are saying unemployment is on the rise, and we're saying we're providing a solution.
And we're also
this is why they should
looking at
come
the
in.
presidential skilling, initiatives.
We don't see anything like that, because we would love, because we're skilling. Everybody you've seen here is under 30. I think they're qualified to be youth.
I know, and earlier I was even asking you if you've actually tried to develop the community around you.
Yes, everybody here has come from this community. Because one of the things when we're buying this land, we said to the LCs and everybody involved, the law, in the, you know, signing, we said, like, look, if we build a factory here, we're going to employ your young people. We don't want to be loitering the area. And we have kept our word and we've employed them. We have trained them free of charge. This is where training, people pay millions to train, but we are hands-on skills. Come learn. Once you learn, you're hired. You understand? Of course, there are things they don't need to learn, like staffing and all that. They straight away get employed. But if we were to request the government, this is where the government would come in and say, what are you doing? How can we support you? But they're not doing that
But
yet.
have you done any requests anyway? Because
Countless
I could be
times.
asking
We've
and
knocked
probably
on doors.
you haven't knocked on any doors.
Apparently, there's no budget. I always hear there's no budget for such, for us. And it will come, it will come. We're still hopeful that they will come, and then we'll get to be looked into and then supported to do what we do best, which is training the youth, skilling entrepreneurs. And we believe that this will they will have a ripple effect. We train one, they train more. Because if I train one person and they go and set up their workshop doing exactly what I'm doing, they're going to employ 10 more. What would that do to a country like this? You understand? So it's not, I went to school in Uganda. I studied here until S6. My vision was I wanted to go and get employed, which was perfectly okay until I kind of got exposed somewhere else and I realized, no, I want to create employment. I don't want to be employed anymore. So I want to be able to do the same for someone else. If they have their energy and they can learn, let them learn, them go and do it. Every household needs a stove. Every household needs to cook. Really, the market is huge. So if we could do this with the few we have, I'm sure we can multiply and do more for people.
Okay, so then I shouldn't even be asking about tax exemptions, because I was walking around and thinking, oh, she must have all the government support.
Zero. We have not got any exemptions. We even now, I'm trying to clear some consignments which came in. We are paying, well, hopefully we'll be able to be exempted. We've applied and nothing has come through yet, but we still have to. You're not going to stay still and don't function because you're waiting for exemption somewhere. You end up paying taxes, and hopefully one day when you're recognized and you apply an exemption, it will apply. By the moment, nothing applies.
Are you already exporting?
Yes.
Like the stoves?
Yes, to Rwanda, to Nigeria, to Namibia, and to Somalia.
Oh
In
my
small
God.
quantity. We are not yet in big quantities, a container load. We are not yet there.
Okay, so how...
But we are doing locally. The market here is huge.
Yeah.
Before we even go out of Uganda. Refugees, we are supplying refugees, both in the southwest, the UNHCR, in the north, where the market is huge. Everybody uses biomass, and so we are trying to introduce the clean energy, the eco stove, so that they can actually reduce, because this consumes a lot of batteries. So the more households that we have a saying that one household at a time. Yeah, once we can do that, then we'll have a change.
Because we spoke earlier and you mentioned that you actually manufacture about 800 to 1,200 stoves a day.
Yes.
So that means the market out there is really huge.
It's huge.
How far do you see this project going?
Actually, you saw a process. There are those process of cutting, the bending, the this and that. So it's a process. We hope to put more machinery, and probably 3 times what we have, if money becomes available, if government does support us. Because mechanized production is increased output. Simple as that. I mean, less error, less wastage, less everything else. And of course, manpower, human labor will never be out of the equation. It's always going to be there. But you'll be able to do quality, you'll be able to do quantity. So when you see, for us to be able to supply, say, even 1 million households in the next 5 years will be a blessing, at the level at which we are producing. So 2,000 even a day wouldn't be enough to do that. So we hope that in the long run, we have more people working with us to be able to achieve that. Yeah.
So how personal, actually, if I may ask, has been your input, and probably if we look at how it has actually affected the whole produce at the end of the day, how personal is it to you in terms of investment?
My surname is, okay, somebody called me one time and said, Rose Eco. I said, yes. Then I thought my name has become Rose Eco. I'm like, that's actually true.
That's why
Because even when I pick up my phone, I'm like, Rose Eco Stove. I'm like, okay, that has become surname. That's become so personal, because I'm one of the directors, and I'm a day-to-day I'm a 24-hour person on duty, and I love to be part of it every day. I want to know what's going on. I'm hands-on. I started many other things, but I want something that I see that has an impact on someone. Like, I could see it. Take the stove, tell me what it's done for you, and let me know how much you're saving. And I love to hear all this. But as far as for investment, you don't have to start huge, really. Anything you want to do, as long as you're using what you got, it grows. We didn't start out big. I started with personal investment, but personal savings. I could say my children's savings, I would say. That we started with what we had. We didn't start with borrowing from the banks. No. You start with the little, you grow from there. We started behind our house to start. We didn't start from this place 9 years ago.
Why didn't you call us?
Well,
or at least me.
Maybe you. I didn't know about you. I just wanted, at the time, as long as my husband was happy to listen to the noise at 7 o'clock and he's not he's not complaining, I'm okay to save on the rent, because it's all about saving. Save, spend less as much as you can so that you can grow with what you have. And so he allowed me to start from the back of the house, and we put the shelter there and we worked there. Then when we started increasing the number of the workers, then we moved to the neighbor, we hired a place there. Then we outgrew that, then we hired a bigger place. And of course, at the time, that's 2014, we bought here, because we realized now we were, the more people weren't fitting wherever. The stock wasn't fitting. You have an order, you don't even have one. By the time you're done with this, the other one is getting moisture, and so it's starting to rust because it's metal. So I started to think, how can I have it housed so that I save on how much I'm spending to put it right because of the place I'm working with. So we didn't start big, we started small. So I would say, start with what you have, grow with what you have, and step by step you get there. As long as I'm very committed personally. I wake up, I breathe Eco Stove, but more importantly, it's close to my heart because I grew up with this challenge, and I know what somebody else who hasn't heard about Eco Stove is going through. I'd love as many people to get to understand it. They don't have to buy, but know there's an option. And whenever they're ready, they'll come back and get it. But at the end of the day, you do that which you can afford at the time. Baby steps, you get there. Even baby start with 1 step, 2 steps, and they get there.
Okay.
So you can't start by, getting a loan and investing what you don't have. No, you have to see a vision. You have to say, you can have a dream, but plan with that dream.
There are usually several questions about starting up businesses, but of course we're going to return to that after a short break.
Yes.
You are watching People and Power. This episode belongs to Rose Twine. She's an entrepreneur and CEO of Eco Group Limited. Welcome back. You are watching People and Power right here on NBS always. My name is Mebo Tegumiezake. On Twitter, the hashtag is NBS People and Power. Please tweet and retweet. As this episode airs, it belongs to Rose Twine. From employee to employer, she's the CEO of Eco Group Limited, and of course, like I said earlier, her name Rose Twine, she also mentioned it actually could easily be Rose Eco.
True.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, so we were still speaking of starting a business, and probably maybe we'll go into retrospect a little bit to what you were actually doing before you went into business on your own. Would you advise someone to actually drop their job and go into business or start up a business?
Drop your job? No. Why are they in the job in the first place? Because everybody has a reason why they do what they do. Personally, I've always had, I started working from 1995. My first job was a salesperson, and that's the time I moved to the UK. I've always been hardworking, and sometimes you're a kind of person who can't do one thing. So it depends who you are, really. It's a personal thing. from my personal experience, I had a job and I had my own business, even in London. I had a business where I worked with environmental, where I had a waste management company. At the same time, I used to work my 9-to-5 job, and I had a family to run. So really, you weigh your options. One, somebody can have a safety net, which is their 9-to-5. And maybe the income is not enough and they want to supplement it with another side job, which is have another business on the side. That is a very common practice. For my part, I was doing something to pay my bills, but I needed something that was close to my heart, that made me function, made me wake up and excited to work, and this is what I was always looking for. So being in environment and feeling as making a change, even for the London Borough of Haringey, which I worked with, I could see what they were doing, and I wanted to do this myself. I wanted to do this, but not there. I wanted to do it home. So after, the savings I had from my 9-to-5, as well as as an employee, as well as my other job, I actually sold my business, Goodwill, and packed my bags and came back home. Because what I was passionate to do, I couldn't do it home. I couldn't do it there. It wasn't needed. It's needed here. I mean, what I wanted to do, what I knew was needed here, it doesn't apply there. So that's why I thought I would come and do it as a business here.
You're speaking of passion.
Yes.
Let's talk about it versus education.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what we've actually seen and all the people that you've trained here, I don't even want to say what profession it is.
Yes.
Because we come from background of African parents who believe that my child must do a professional course. You know what I mean when
Yes,
they
I
say
do.
professional course.
I
So
do.
let's go back to you and how that all played out to the passions you're speaking about today.
Yes, really, I would say, yes, I have a background. I studied everything to do with this. So it's not that it's all about passion, but I studied after I was interested and passionate about this. So I needed to add, the icing. You already have a cake and you just want to put the icing to make it all nice. So I was I was already working in the waste management and environment in the London Borough of Haringey. So topping up to be able to do environment related course was something I needed to do to professionalize my sector and have more knowledge and understanding and in depth of what it is that I was going to be facing going down, because I'd been out of here for so long, and of course things were different. You can't come and bring this, or you say that tree it's been standing for 300 years, so it has so many tons of carbon dioxide, so it can't who understands that? So things that apply in classroom may not apply in everyday life.
True.
Because this is something I know, that the longer the tree has been standing, the more carbon dioxide it inhibits. So when you cut it, you're exposing the same in the environment. So this is classroom work, but in real life.
Yeah.
How can I bring it to make somebody understand? So even in my marketing, it will be like, I look at a group of people and say, how do I make them understand eco-stove, and why is it they shouldn't be cutting the trees and instead using the rocks?
Yeah.
Then I want to talk about how much they're spending. I'm like, okay, how much is charcoal? A bag is 70,000 or 80,000. Honestly, I've not used charcoal for the last 8 years, so I wouldn't know. So somebody tell me and say, I'm like, okay. So you find a group is bothered about the expenditure, another group about the environment, another group. So I address it how it comes, because that's an area that I've soaked myself into to understand the environmental impact, the expense, pain everybody has when it comes to cooking. So I combine the two, and this is how I pitch it. But really and truly, the passion is all about the environment. I really want, as Rose Twine, I want to be able to say, have I made a difference to somebody's life?
Yeah.
Is it the money they are spending on cooking? Is it because if you're using 10%, if you're saving 90% of your cooking cost and only using 10% for whatever, this is a product I want to bring into your house so that you can save. Then if you leave that tree standing, and there's another alternative that you could use, then that's something that I'm happy to do. So this is what drives me. And of course, testimonials from clients, and somebody tells you how efficient it is, how they don't no longer wake up at 6 to be able to cook. That's restaurant people.
Would you say you've actually surprised yourself by what you've done, even after, like when you speak of that, and then what we're the
Yeah.
conversation we were having now.
True. By the way, if it's not challenging, it's not for me. That is why I was skipping from job to job or doing different courses, and even after, and my lecturers would say, but you're good at this, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good, but I'm not sure I want to grow old doing this because it's not challenging. I wanted something that every day, I don't want every day to be uniform, in a few words. If every day was uniform, then I would like, I know what tomorrow is going to be like. And then that doesn't do it for me. I wanted like every day to surprise me, and like I'm coming up with new solutions, and I'm coming up, and it's forcing me to research, and it's forcing me to find out new, ways to solve something. I want to solve a challenge. If there is no challenge to solve, I'm the most bored person.
Okay, so would you say that the Eco Stove at this point has exceeded your expectations?
No. It hasn't. We're still going. Next month I should be in France. We're actually going with the current version to go and see where we are and where we could go next. So I'm forever traveling with the stove. They know me. I'm always taking. Good thing in London I still have the stones, so I don't have to go through the carrying of the stones. So it hasn't go where I need to go. I see it's getting close to where I'm happy as a person, but also the feedback makes me understand we're close to that goal. We're not yet there. I want to eliminate the biomass for starting the stove completely. Then I'll have achieved that. That make sure it's that which you start and it starts, and the rocks can burn without having to put the secondary fuel to start the fire. This is when I will say, yes, it has done, or it has achieved that purpose which I wanted, because I want clean energy. But you see, we could not say until such a time when we actually have that final product is when it comes on the market. Then today, if I could save 90% of the trees cutting or the charcoal somebody uses, I'm achieving something. I don't want to wait until I save 100% for me to be able to bring it on the market. No. Then I would not have started 8 years ago, and the households, 20,000 households or over that we have served would not have benefited. So it's work in progress. We're not yet there, and I want to get there, and I know I'll get there if I have the life I have.
Okay.
Yes.
So does this work in progress at the same time also settle probably the hiccups that you went through 8 years ago? Because there are challenges probably which some you could tell us of what you've actually had to go through to get to where you are now.
Yes, those challenges have shaped what I am today, definitely. And but of course, we could not have got here where we are without the support. I keep saying about the support, the people we've worked with. I forgot to tell you that even for us to get where we are today, even if we haven't got where we need to go, we've had the support of a lot of, because we have donor funding for innovation. For example, we've had some support like from UN for product development, for market distribution, like to try and get people into this. And so like SNV, we've got UNCDF, we've got, and these are people who are supporting us to get to that goal. This is why I'm saying we're not yet there. Because if we were there, we wouldn't be looking for the support to get us there. And we wouldn't be saying the government is not helping us to get there, would have got there already. But the challenges have shaped what I am today, because I relate to it. I relate to that woman when I see a woman in a smoke-filled kitchen, or I see, there was a newspaper I saw, a cutting where women were using a certain oven with a lot of firewood to cook. They're trying to generate income using this, and I'm like, I would love to reach them. I would love to actually make them a model group of women to use my eco stove to actually educate the rest of them. Like, you're not there because everything you see challenges you to say, I've been there, I know what they go through. I wish I could reach as many people as I possibly can. But we'll get there. But yes, my history has made me who I am today.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember you said that you started in the backyard of your house, and I imagined your family, because you kept saying your husband, or so long as could actually put up with the noise, or and then I imagined also your children. Are they anywhere involved directly within the Eco Group Limited?
Yeah, they are team Rose. Some of my, I have two grown-up children, and they are Timros, reason because they don't live here. So they are not directly like hands-on, but every summer holiday, like now, when they come, they'll be able to probably, try and keep up with us, because we have left them every time they're away. They come back and we've moved so many steps ahead, so they catch up, but they are very, very, very interested. For example, my son would be very interested in what I do, and he will call and would say, "Mommy, tell me about your day." He's the kind of person who wants to know about my day, even on WhatsApp. How was your day? How did it go? How is Eco Stove? Because he knows that's my surname. So he has to ask. But they've been very supportive, although sometimes it would get too much. I remember back in the day where I'll be banned from talking about Eco Stove on a dining table.
Really? No, because this is why I asked Rose. Most often time, like as Africans, we're blamed, with the few exceptions who will forgive me that are not prone to this anyway, that we never involve our children in the work that we do. Somebody, God forbid, dies, and then the company dies with them. The ideas you were talking about of what you're projecting actually dies with you.
True, true. That's a sad one, and I pray it never happens. My son, he's one who's very interested, because even when he's here, he's my sales, is with the sales team, and he likes to pitch, because I remember he gets paid a commission. So when he's pitching to a client and you come and say, "Mommy, this is mine, I got this," and so that was my way of trying to get them once to understand the product. Once through marketing, you understand the product. You don't have to make it. You understand the ins and the outs. So that's an area that you would really, at this point, they're not here. If they were here, I'd love them to be fully involved. But whenever they're here, that's how they earn their money, because they have to get paid. They have to get paid by working. They can't say, "Give me money for going out," or fuel, because they drive, they're grown, and say, "Give fuel." No, they have to work. And where do they work? It's here. They have to work here. Whether it means to drive me, and we come to work and we see the issues and challenges, and they learn my stress, it's enough for them to absorb and relate to what we're doing. I grew up, bless my dad, he passed, but he's a person who was hands-on. If there's nothing to do, he'll create it for you to get it done. I mean, you just have to. So currently they're not here, but they are up to, they're informed, they know what's going on, and hopefully when they finish the education, they'll be joining us. But they love, this summer they'll be here at least for 4 months or 3 months, yes.
And for that in particular, that's why I'll ask, what's on your wish list before you die?
Wow, that is huge.
No, because
my bucket list is huge.
Exactly, no, but at least you tell us. Maybe it's about Eco Stove. I don't know what it's about. But at times we never know when. We're not saying anything about you dying.
I won't die.
Yes, but we were talking about your children probably being engrossed in what you do, because at times they say that our children never really get bothered about so we don't want to imagine the worst case scenario of it happening, but
no, actually I believe in creating systems that will continue after I'm gone. That would be one of the things in my bucket list, where I don't have to worry. The management, the teams can do what they do, and the children can always be wherever they are, and they don't have to be hands-on, but they can understand. I mean, they are not here, so if they were here and they were not involved, that would be a different thing. But in my bucket list, I would love every household in Uganda currently using charcoal stove to own an eco stove, even if it's a single. That will positively impact on our environment, 1. 2, I would love to create as many entrepreneurs to do what I'm doing across this country. Because you see, we are in Bujuko, Nswanjere, that's where the factory is. People in Karamoja, people in Kasese, we literally ship across. We would want to plant as many branches across. And this will start with the entrepreneurs whom we've trained here. So if we could have Eco Stove as a house product in Uganda, my dreams will have come true.
But don't you think it's a bit expensive for the first burner, first burner is 250,000.
400 with the 2-year reusable rocks.
Okay, first burner is 450,000.
400,000 with the 2-year reusable rocks.
Yeah.
And that one, so you only replenish the rocks every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Yes.
You replenish at how much?
35,000.
Okay, and then you don't think it's a bit too high because of the 2-year gap?
If I remove that, that's what makes the Eco Stove what it is, because the stones, they are going to be reusable anyway. So you want to give somebody peace of mind.
Yeah.
You've bought this, you've invested. It's like building a home. Why do people build if they can rent? They want a peace of mind. So it's the same thing. I want to give you a stove that where you don't have to worry about where the next charcoal is coming from, where the next bill of gas is going to be, how much it's going to be, will I have it? But you ensure that the rocks are there. Any day your children are fed. Because I think that's the main pain in every household today.
The most expensive is how much? Is it the one we saw that has the oven?
The institution ones.
Oh, the institution ones. Yeah, the ones that you go build.
Yeah, because for example, we have done some for prisons.
Yeah.
And you're cooking for so many inmates. You're having like a 500 liter times 12 times. So that would be seen as an institutional stove. And that would be, so the price differ according to how many burners you got. And what capacities you have and what packages go with them. But the starting point would be you have 2 years reusable rocks and you have an eco stove. 400,000.
400,000.
Yeah.
This was a really good conversation.
Thank you.
It was really nice meeting you, and of course the whole tour was really amazing. We pray that of course our viewers were able to understand this kind of, said you wanted to change the cooking industry.
Yes.
So probably maybe some of us here, excluding my people on camera, Shafiq and Timothy, who are not going back home with an eco stove. Personally, I am, and I think you should.
Thank you.
My name is Mebo Chegumiezake, and this has been People and Power episode of Rose Twine. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
too.
watching.
Thank you.